to Sacred Space with Tanika Lace, the podcast. I am so excited to be back. I absolutely love recording. I was speaking into my Instagram stories a couple of weeks ago, saying just how healing this journey of creating a podcast has truly been for me. I feel like, you know, I at the beginning of this journey was like, it was obviously a big stretch for me. Like, oh my gosh, to be seen, I guess, in this light of like, it's quite raw podcasting. It's like the words that flow out of me. It's like I'm having a conversation with you, right? Like we're friends. It's like sitting in circle and I'm having my turn to talk. It's so cool. But, you know, that was like a stretch, but I didn't realize how the journey would continue to kind of feel so healing. And it's opened me up to parts of myself where I'm realizing, oh my gosh, that like is a bit nerve-wracking for me to speak into. I didn't realize how much I'm limiting myself in this area and all those things, and listening back to myself talk and being like, wow, I use a lot of filler words in this. I'm like, I just did that. I just did it again. But trying to always, I don't know. It's just been a learning curve for me. And I feel like it's definitely deepened my relationship with myself as well as with my audience. Like, I feel like I'm really connecting in with you guys on an even more intimate level, which I absolutely love, because it's just so nice to build these connections in community and to hold each other and to see each other. It's just so fucking cool. So today's episode, I'm going to be talking into what is womb healing, because I always introduce myself as a womb goddess, right? And I'm always speaking about the womb, but I feel like I haven't really articulated what is a womb healing, what do I do in my womb healing sessions, and who are they available for, all the things. Before we get into it, I wanted to drop in with a self-love ritual. So recently, how I've been showing my self-love is by setting up ceremony space for myself. I do this by setting an altar, lighting some incense, maybe some Palo Santo or sage, laying down my favorite blanket, and then just journeying with myself. Usually I always journey with cacao, but it's also nice to sometimes just journey without cacao. So my self-love ritual would definitely just be to be in presence with self. Maybe doing an oracle card reading and just snuggling up in front of the altar. Maybe you feel like reading a book. Maybe you feel like doing self-pleasure and using, you know, some crystal wands and really journeying deep with yourself. But whatever that looks like for you in, you know, holding self-ceremony, you do you, boo. I'm here for it. Like, it is so necessary. I actually schedule in days of the week that, you know, I will not have clients, or like say half days I'll like work. I wouldn't call it work, but I'll have a few clients of the morning, and then that afternoon is for me to sit in ceremony with self. And I usually take off like at least a day or two in the actual week to dedicate to self, because I feel like the more I sit with myself, the more I open, the better I can facilitate healing, the more grounded I am in my body. I'm more checked in with my energy to like really notice if there's something off. And I just fucking love like ceremony. And I know on my birth chart that Sophia has like pointed out to me ritual and ceremony is like really big for me, and it definitely is, but I just find it just so powerful. And knowing that it doesn't have to be hard. Like when I say setting an altar, put down a feather, pop down a shell, pop down a crystal, and maybe like a cute little bowl of water, a candle. Voila, we have an altar. An altar can literally be anything you wish it to be. It's just a place to come to. It's a place to come to prayer, right? But like your body is the temple, so it's not like we're sitting there praying to like God, goddess, universe. It's just a place to be sacred. Oh my gosh, that was my dog. So sorry if you heard that. It scared me so much. So that's my self-love ritual for you. And my quote of the week, when I was looking into my quote of the week, I was like, what quote do I want to bring the collective today? And, you know, when I read this one, it really resonated with me, because I heard somewhere like along the week on Instagram, I saw this reel, and it said something along the lines of, when we heal, we're not healing to step into a new version of us or something like that, but we're healing to accept the pieces that are already here. It was definitely not that. It sounded a lot more nice, but that's kind of the gist of it. And it really sunk in for me that is so true, right? So my quote of the week is, make peace with your broken pieces. Make peace with your broken pieces. How beautiful is that? Like, accept yourself for the shadows, accept yourself for all the little pieces that you don't accept yourself for, all your quirks, all your flaws. Just make peace with the broken pieces. I absolutely love that quote. I'm going to write that one on my fridge too. Like, I write so many quotes. I need to get like a dedicated whiteboard or like a blackboard. Oh my gosh, maybe I could like paint one of my walls a blackboard and just write all these quotes, because I am always I froth quotes so much. Oh my gosh, every time I'm trying to get into the flow of this episode, an animal is like needing my attention. It's ridiculous. I live on like a big property and I have 2 dogs, 2 cats, 3 ducks, but my neighbors have sheep, and at the moment it's like the time of year where they breed. So there's like hundreds of these fucking lambs everywhere and sheep. And when I say hundreds, there's probably like 25 of them all up. Anyway, they live, like, their property's like quite a while away from ours, but all of these like sheep this afternoon have just decided that they're going to escape, and they've just come running past my driveway. So all the cows are like, what's going on? So my dog's out there barking and all the things are going on. So I'm really hoping that now I can get into the episode without getting pulled out of here to quieten down my dog or send the sheep off to their home. Yeah, so with today's episode, I am going to speak into the womb healing piece and how that looks if you were to come for a session, or if you were to, show your womb some love. Like, just what is all of this? Like, why do people always speak into like healing the womb? What does that even mean, right? I feel like it's really common that people understand some of the basic factors of the sacral chakra. So the sacral and the womb are all in all the same, like when we are tapping into the womb space, it's right where the sacral is. So it's like quite similar energy in the sense of desire. We hold our desires there. We hold our passions. We want connection. And when this chakra is closed off, we go within and we don't crave that connection. The pleasure, when the womb space isn't activated, when our sacral chakra is not activated, when it's not turned on, we don't feel like pleasure. We don't feel like intimacy. We're not in our sexuality. So bringing these together, that energy, that force of the womb and the sacral, it's so powerful because it's the space where our divine feminine lays. And I also want to preface that, yes, I do these womb healings, but I have done womb healings on men, because even though they don't have a physical womb, a woman who has had a hysterectomy can still receive a womb healing, because it's actually the energetic center. So the sacral, the womb, it's the energetic center that I'm working with. So men can receive this and it can actually heal their birth traumas. Maybe they've got huge mother wounds that need healing. So knowing that this isn't just limited to the females when I'm speaking into womb healing. And yeah, it's really interesting. Like I said, I've done a couple of womb healings on men, and it's actually like really powerful as a woman to hold a man in that and to notice the shifts in their frequency as some of these layers peel away, and like their creation can flow, and oh my gosh, it's just so perfect. But anyway, all in all, the womb is the space where the divine feminine lays, and it is the holder of everything it receives. It's a sponge of energy. It's a sponge of information, of empathy. So yes, this space, it's got so much power and liberation behind it, but it's also where we hold all of the information we receive. So it can be from as little as, maybe you notice in the shopping center a toddler throwing a tantrum and the mum might not be treating it as nicely. I don't know, I've seen that before, like when the kid is just like obviously being a lot of hard work and the mum's like, oh my gosh, just be quiet. And maybe in that split second of seeing that and being the witness, you in your heart space, you're like, oh, that poor baby, I just want to give it a cuddle. So in that, the emotion behind that could be, you know, grief for the child. And then you would then be holding that emotion in the womb. So it can literally be a little experience like that where we empathetically feel into a situation and hold that emotion in this area. It can also be from big things, you know, like women come through for womb healings because they have had sexual trauma or any sort of trauma, you know. Big things can be held in this space and are held in this space. The womb is where we hold it, as well as our limiting beliefs, the stories, the patterns, the emotional baggage that we have inherited from our ancestral line, from our lineage. And, you know, there's just so much here. We can hold people in the womb space, past relationships, energetic cords to every man or woman that you've ever sexually interacted with is all connected into this space. The way I visualize it is if you haven't received womb healing and you feel like there's misalignments in your life, you struggle to manifest, you struggle to feel embodied in your body, you feel like you can't connect in with your feminine essence, all of those beautiful things, it's almost like having a soft drink bottle and shaking it, right? It's overflow, it's full. It's like, you know that as soon as you start to take off that lid, it's just going to explode. And when you have that misalignment, I'm like trying to think here, when your like womb isn't balanced, that's how you react, right? You know, you don't respond to things because you're holding all this baggage in there that you are constantly walking around like a big shaken up soft drink ready to explode. And that is not how we want to be in our life. We want to be responders, not reactors. So when you receive a womb healing, it's a space for me, or whatever womb healer you go to. I would absolutely love to hold you though. It's a space where we begin to gently soften into the body and release these pieces. And it's really important to note that I have held incredible women through some deep journeys into their womb to let go of ancestral conditioning, to let go and cut the cords with past partners from, you know, abusive relationships, to change these patterns. And it doesn't have to be an emotional, like, you don't have to relive that journey of where you were to release it. It can be so gentle. So I really wanted to preface that as well. I feel like sometimes when you've had a lot of trauma or there's been a lot happen, it can be quite daunting, right? To start the healing and to start connecting in with yourself, because why would you want to relive that again? It's so much easier to just keep showing up in the way you are, right? But yeah, no, the way it can be facilitated is so gentle and it does not need to be relived at all. So once you receive that healing of the womb, and knowing it's not just a one session thing, I usually see women at least 5 times in a womb healing container before we really, that's like when you start to see the big shifts, because there's so many layers. Think about the hundreds and hundreds of years of women that came before you, and you're holding on to pieces that they were not able to release because they weren't in a time where they could release it. They didn't have sisters to lean on the way we do now. They didn't have these services because, I mean, witches were fucking killed for this stuff, for the healing of the divine feminine. We have been shut down, conditioned by society to shut down. So it's a really big step to do this. And I honor every single woman who has come to me for any sort of healing, because it's a really big thing to be seen, because we know that even in this day and age, being seen can lead to really horrible things. So it's so courageous when woman begins to step into this for herself. But once the womb is healed, or, you know, you're connecting in with her, she's activated, it allows you to begin to manifest the life that you want, because the womb is where we manifest from. It is where we hold these desires. But if it's blocked from any leaky energy of like our ancestors or past relationships or any of the things I've spoken into, it can actually tweak with the manifestation that you're calling in. So you could notice that you aren't being able to call in everything you want because you don't have that divine connection. And maybe you're calling in something, but it's not coming in the way you would wish, because it's the same as a spell, right? Like you have to articulate exactly what it is that you want. Otherwise it can go quite wrong. And that's the same with like when your womb is blocked. If you are manifesting something, it can be really hard for it to come into fruition because there's not that divine connection there with your body. And it's sending like mixed signals to the universe, and the universe is like, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. So I'm just going to give you this brain a bunch of things and hope that it works out. And if it doesn't, sorry. And when the womb's healed, and it's not holding that stagnant energy, it's a beautiful space to birth creation, including birthing children. I see a lot of women who have fertility issues, and then it turns out a lot of it is usually emotional baggage. And then once they receive some womb healings, voila, they can fall pregnant. It's so beautiful. That lights me up so much. I've had a couple of women who have been like, oh my gosh, Tanika, I'm pregnant. And it's just so beautiful because it just shows like this is energetic. It doesn't always have to be like something wrong with your physical body. That's what they try and tell you, but there's nothing wrong with you, my beautiful woman. It is simply conditioning that has been stuck here and needs to be released. That is my opinion anyway. In the people I've worked with, I've seen that. So I truly believe it. Hello, beautiful soul. I wanted to drop in and let you know about my newest offering, which I have launched over on my Instagram, Authentically You. This is a 10-week journey being in my world. It includes 5 bi-weekly healing sessions, which are individually channeled for what you and your soul needs. You will receive Monday to Friday Voxer access, where I will mentor you and reflect back to you any blind spots, any shadows, any stories that you're playing into that are disallowing you from stepping into your truth. You'll also receive free access to any events held throughout our time together. This offering is online or in person, depending on your location. This is open for all, and this is for the woman who is ready to activate her truth, to completely step into her power, to show up as authentically you. I would love to hear you over on my Instagram, or click the link in the show notes below if this is you. Let's meet authentically you. But once you reclaim this space, you're like reclaiming your power, you're reclaiming your divine essence, you are just reclaiming deeper consciousness for yourself, deeper expression. Oh my gosh, I have seen so many women shift with womb healing, and it's so potent. I've seen women start businesses, like I just said, women fall pregnant. Women begin creations where they first began to come to me and they're like, I literally just can't connect into my feminine essence. And then they're fucking waltzing out of here by like the last session, like, oh my gosh, I can dance. I've had women who have come in for a session, said that they don't have emotions, they're not emotional, they are just completely disconnected. Then after a few sessions, they're walking out with tears of gratitude. Like, I can fucking feel. It's just so liberating. I love it, love it, love it. So another important thing alongside receiving womb healings, and this is something that you can do for yourself, is setting boundaries around yourself, around your energy, so that no one can fuck with you. It's just anchoring yourself into your sovereignty as a woman or a man, so that no one can sort of just land in your womb space so easily. Because when the boundaries aren't there, it is easy for, when you see the toddler in the shop, feeling that grief for them, allowing that to land in your energetic body in your womb. But if you have those boundaries set in place, no one can sort of push past them unless you allow them to. And it's just a good little message to your subconscious of I don't need to hold on to everything. Yes, I can feel upset for my friend or upset for that person, but I don't actually need to hold on to it. It is not my duty to hold on to it. So that's really powerful. I myself have also started working with crystal wands and yoni eggs, which has been a game changer for me in connecting deeper with my womb space, self-facilitating myself through releasing trauma very gently, but just deepening that connection and deepening that trust, right, with the relationship I have with my womb. And daily I'm devoting time and space to my womb. I'm always connecting in with her. And like I always say, she is when my womb tells me no, I'm not going to do it. It's like your gut feeling. Like you just know it when it's not right. It's your womb speaking to you. Another really nice way is to like breathe into the womb, holding the womb, connecting with her, asking her all of the things. And you can do this before receiving a healing and asking her, are you ready to receive a healing? Are you ready to open to me? Beginning that journey now, right now. So let's get into the question. What is a womb healing with me? What does that look like? What does that entice, right? So I can do these online or in person, and both are just as potent as each other. When it's online, it can actually be even more deep. You can go deeper because you're in your own space, and sometimes people prefer that for this sort of work, and I completely honor you in that. So yeah, knowing that when you book online, you can just pop in online in the not the show notes, Tanika. You can just pop into the notes of the appointment that you're going to be online, and yeah, we can organize that. So perfect. But a womb healing is usually began with cacao or tea, just to really ground ourselves into the present moment. Maybe we'll definitely I do an oracle card pull. We sort of have a look at what's going on in your life right now. Sometimes if woman is coming along to my signature womb healing pack, which is Whispers of Her Womb, that's a 5 session pack. We usually would definitely begin the first session speaking into where you are in your cycle, how you feel with your cycle, how you feel in your body with your cycle, all of those juicy questions. And I educate you on the different inner seasons, and we just speak into that. Sometimes there's specific trauma that a woman can feel she's holding, and it's just a really powerful space, sacred, safe space for you to, expand on that, and we can talk it into the physical so it can sort of begin to shift in the sessions. So yeah, we begin with some oracle cards, with some cacao or some tea, and then I usually just drop you into your body with some breath or with a really grounding meditation alongside maybe my drum or some sort of grounding instrument that I have. And then we begin the journey. So if this was to look like my signature womb healing pack, I do the activation of the maiden, of the mother, of the wild woman, and of the wise woman. So depending on where you are in your cycle, we align it perfectly with the energetics of where your womb is and activate those inner energies. But if you were just coming simply because you can feel trauma in your body, or you want to try what it's like to connect with your womb, I just channel through what needs to come through. So that can look like lots of sound healing, chanting, singing, dancing on, like I'll be the one doing all these things, you're just receiving. Blessing the womb in light language. Sometimes I'm shifting with Reiki healing or channeled healing. It's all these beautiful, wonderful healing modalities that sort of just channel through me, and I almost can't even put it into words, but healing the womb is just, I feel like I'm in this beautiful dance with your womb space, and she's showing me what it is she needs to shift, and I'm just helping that energy to flow. So some womb healing sessions, I don't even place my hand on your body. Sometimes I do a lot of focus around the throat chakra as well, because, the yoni and the throat are quite connected, and the jaw and the hips are connected. So, sometimes you need that shift around the jaw and the throat for it to actually shift within the womb and the yoni. So yeah, it's just a really powerful, beautiful journey. And I always love to hold women through this because it can be really gentle, and it is really gentle. I mean, it's not anything crazy out of this world, but some women just need to be held because they haven't had a mother to hold them as they cry, or as they get angry, or as they access their sacred rage for the first time. And I'm just here to be the guide in that, and it's just really powerful. So these sessions, they go for around an hour to an hour and a half, depending on, the energetics. I don't like to put a time frame because sometimes, like, I'm one for boundaries, but sometimes, like, our souls are so connected, and it's like, you need this much time from me, and I'm not going to dishonor that at all. So it's just such a beautiful powerful way for you to begin connecting in with yourself, and knowing that this can be the first step for you. If you're feeling like you want to reconnect to your body, maybe you've had some fear or insecurities around not being good enough because you don't know where to start, so you're just not starting, knowing that this is really perfect for you because it's one-on-one, it is space just for you, and there's no shame that it's space just for you, because that's what it's here for, right? Like, you can't hold the shame and not do it because you don't want to be, I don't want to waste the facilitator's time because like I don't deserve it. Like, get that story out of your head, sister. Let's begin this journey together. So because you've listened to this episode, I've spoken, into sort of how I usually try to freely structure my womb healings, because they are quite different every time. I would love to offer everyone who listens to this a 20% off voucher for my Whispers of Her Womb pack, or for a one-on-one womb healing. The way that you can claim this is by booking online and in the appointment notes writing podcast. This is just so that I know that you've listened to the podcast and I can automatically put that discount onto your appointment, knowing that you can receive a womb healing from me online or in person. So this is open to all women who listen to this podcast, which is really fucking cool. That was like a really big thing for me beginning my podcast, is being able to broaden my audience of how many women I can reach, because I want to share my medicine because I love you so much. So yeah, it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. I also do hold ceremonies, like one-on-one ceremonies with the womb, as well as events, usually like bi-monthly events with the womb. But this ceremony is so beautiful. I feel like I want to do actually an episode on the ceremony that I hold, but it's quite a similar, like we're diving into the womb space, we're connecting with her, we're planting the seeds in there. We're setting an altar, maybe doing a fire ceremony for deeper release, or a water release. I set it up all feminine with flowers, and it's so beautiful, and we just get to speak and allow our voice to activate. So fucking beautiful. I just adore what I do. I'm so passionate about holding space for women because it's just so needed, and these sisterhood wounds that run through us all, they need to shift. It's not the truth. It's not the truth anymore. We're not in the times of the witch trials where we have to dob on one another, like we're past that, and it's time to energetically shift that too. So as this episode comes to an end, and I've covered little pieces into how you can begin to connect in with your womb and what it looks like to receive a shamanic womb healing from me, I invite you to lean into this journal prompt. What is my womb holding that she needs to let go of? What is my womb holding that she needs to let go of? And when you ask this question to yourself, dropping in with some conscious breathing, holding the womb space, maybe setting the ceremony space I was speaking into at the beginning of this episode, and just seeing what words, what feelings, what memories might come up, writing them down, and there you will know where you might want to begin your womb healing journey. Healing the womb is so necessary, so needed, because if you think about it, right, once you have babies, you've already got the eggs within you, right, for your baby. And then as soon as you fall pregnant, their baby is in your womb. So you're holding already 2 generations in your womb, just like you were in your grandmother's womb. So why not make this a really safe, nurturing, fruitful, fertile, beautiful place full of love, full of femininity, full of desires, full of sensuality, so that the next generations to come, they get to come in this high vibration. And oh my gosh, I could just keep on talking into this. It's just so beautiful. Once you begin your womb healing journey, you will completely understand why I'm so passionate about it. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode today. It's been so nice to speak into this. I don't know why I haven't thought to do this episode already. Like, it makes so much sense because womb healing is such like I guess, a taboo topic, right? Like people kind of are like, I don't really get it. Like I don't know what it is. So I just thought it's such a good space to speak into it because I can reach more of you. You can all begin to understand what the womb really means, like what she is really energetically, what she holds. And she's so much more than all the things that she does in the physical realm, and she does a fucking lot physically. So yeah, it's so powerful to begin that journey. I love you all so much. I would absolutely adore if you screenshotted this podcast and popped it on your Instagram stories, tagging me. If you sent me a message over on Instagram at Sacred Space W Tanika Lace, let me know how you're feeling into my podcast, how the episodes are landing for you. Is there anything you want me to speak into? Leaving me a review, all the things, you know what I'm talking about. Just like supporting the fuck out of me, because we have to rise together, sisters, and I need your help. I love you so much, and I will be speaking to you next week.